Okay, new school TV reviews. Okay, this is Marvel's Daredevil, the Netflix series from 2015, starring Charlie Cox, Deborah Ann Wall, Eldon Henson, Vincent D'Onofrio, Toby Leonard Moore, Vondi Curtis Hall, Bob Gunton, I'm going to say her name wrong, Aulette Zerlure, and Rosario Dawson. The show was created for television by Drew Goddard. It's produced by Katie Johnson, and the showrunner um, is Stephen S. DeKnight. A lot of it is inspired by the by various Frank Miller runs. The first run from the early '60s and Born Again, the Man Without Fear miniseries that kind of retold Daredevil's origin. Plus, there's elements from the Brian Michael Bendis run from the early 2000s. And there's lots of little Easter eggs and things that if you're a hardcore fan, you'll probably be able to pick up on. However, you know, if you go in there cold, not knowing anything about Daredevil or Marvel Comics, I think you'll still enjoy it. So the premise for people who aren't, who might not be too familiar with it, is basically Matt Murdock is a boy and he has a freak accident and he becomes blinded, but the accident also amplifies his remaining senses, his sense of hearing, smell, taste, and touch to superhuman levels. So even though he's blind, he can still get around as well, if not better, than a sighted person. And now he's an adult. He and his partner, Foggy Nelson from college, have opened their own law office. They've got a new secretary, Karen Page, and they're going to take on cases for, poor people and people who might not have a lot of resources and things like that. One of the cases they decide to take on has something to do with these people who are being forcibly evicted from their building. And we kind of find out that maybe some big company may or may not have something going on. There's something obviously shady happening. And uh, Matt and Foggy and Karen decide they're going to get to the bottom of it. Meanwhile, in the same neighborhood, there's this mass vigilante, this guy dressed in black, fighting criminals, taking on mob guys and drug dealers and whatnot. And some of the people think he's doing a good thing. More people think he's just another criminal. And it's not too long that we find out that Matt is in fact the vigilante. Also going on is there's this sort of tenuous relationship to various mob families that are in the city, and they're kind of worried about the vigilante. They're kind of allies, but they're also kind of at each other's throats. And there's a lot of, well, if you don't take care of this guy, we're going to take care of you. And the most feared mob boss is a man named Wilson Fisk, and he's kind of playing his own game. He has his own ambitions beyond just, you know, bringing in drugs and things like that. Although, of course, he's doing those things as well. So basically, series is this kind of superhero vigilante origin story, but it's also this kind of crime drama where we're dealing with cops, we're dealing with criminals, we're dealing with Matt and Foggy. And there's also a newspaper reporter named Ben Urich who gets involved. He works the crime beat, but he keeps butting heads with his editor, who keeps telling him, yeah, you should just do more fluff pieces. And he really doesn't want to let it go because he knows something big is about to happen. And like I said, you get to see how the relationships between all these sort of things kind of connect and come together, and we see the actual interpersonal relationships between, like I said, Matt, Foggy, and Karen, how those relationships grow, how they change as certain things become known. We get to see how Wilson Fisk starts at one level as a mob boss and he rises to a higher level. We also see how he changes as a person, as a man, due to his dealings with other people. And we see how different people use different methods to get at what they want. So it's actually a very, very intriguing series. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about is when the series first debuted, a lot of people seemed to be impressed with the fight scenes. And I gotta admit, I was kind of impressed as well. It's obviously a low budget show, and there's not a lot of razzle dazzle. You're not gonna see the type of stuff that you saw in like The Matrix or something like that. But with this particular series, the fight scenes were done really well. And by that, I mean a lot of movies and TV shows especially, kind of drop the ball when it comes to fight scenes. A lot of times they're either shot unimpressively or the main actors obviously don't know how to fight and there's really unconvincingly and it's really done unconvincingly, I should say. And a lot of times, or even if you do have, a good fight choreography, sometimes it's undermined by the filmmaking. There's either super slow motion that's really boring, or there's lots of quick editing where you can't see what's going on, or lots of shaky cam that kind of mitigates, the actual excitement of watching, the two people fight. And here, they basically just let the camera stand, and there's fight scenes. There's actual fight choreography, and two guys fighting look like two guys fighting, and it works, and it's very convincing for the most part. Which leads to another thing. I was actually kind of shocked at the level of violence there was in the series. I wasn't shocked like I was offended, but I was kind of surprised that they went there. I should probably have looked it up again, but I think it's TVMA or TVMA 14 or whatever, which I guess is roughly the equivalent of PG-13 film rating. But I think they pushed it as far as they could. I mean, there's a fair amount of blood without giving too much away. Somebody loses a body part at one point. So yeah, I was kind of surprised at how brutal the series was when it came to like the violence and stuff. It worked, and most of it was effective, but yeah, I thought the acting was really good. I thought Charlie Cox was good as Matt Murdock slash Daredevil. Vincent D'Onofrio was pretty good. He was almost too good. Um, by that, what I mean is you could see him making acting choices that have brought a lot of nuance and complexity to the Wilson Fisk character, almost more than maybe should have been there. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's not that I thought he did a bad job, but I saw myself feeling sorry for myself, or sorry for the character a little bit, where I felt I probably should have understood him, but still feared him as a bad guy. If that makes any sense. Like I said, I don't think he did a bad job, but like I said, you can see him going above and beyond what it should have been for that character, and kind of changing the character a little bit. Like I said, I don't think he did a bad job, but you know, like I said, he's almost too good. He almost did too much. I thought Deborah Ann Wall did a good job as Karen Page, where we're talking about a character that was originally created in the comics, and she was just sort of the girlfriend, but and I think the writing had a lot to do with this. Um, made the character more than just that. You felt that she was a competent character and an interesting person on her own. There's a couple of throwaway lines that suggest that she's has this whole history, beyond, just being somebody who showed up because they wanted to get a secretarial job. And I kind of hope they kind of delve into it when they work on the second season of the show. I actually thought um, Eldon Henson as Foggy Nelson almost stole the show. I thought he was great. Um, I thought he did a really good job of showing Foggy as a well-rounded guy. Sure, he's a funny guy. He's, charming and all these things, but you also show him as a competent person. They show him as somebody who can step up when things get bad. And they also gave him a little bit of sex appeal, which I thought was interesting. You don't always get that in these kind of more mainstream um, action things where the kind of plain looking guy or the chubby guy, gets is viewed as a sex object or sex symbol as well. But I actually appreciated that they put that they worked that into Foggy's role. And again, well, I should probably say this, I think a lot of that had to do with the writing. Like I said, I really, really did like the writing on this series. A lot of times, again, on not just superhero shows or movies or TV shows, even just regular cop shows, even regular revenge action, mob movies and things like that. The writing is kind of, formulaic, but I think they did a really good job of not just developing the characters and making the characters fleshed out, having a believable and plausible plot going on. You buy the whole thing of how Matt and Foggy and Karen and Ben are up against all this corruption. You buy the idea that the organized crime guys, Wilson Fisk and the others, are paying some people off here and getting what they want through physical intimidation there, and how there's layers upon layers, how there's I guess that's what I want to say, how there's layers of corruption, how there's the guys they pay to look the other way, to people who are on the police force, to people who are actually on their payroll, to people who are getting paid off in city government, and about how there's a whole intricate machine and relationships that are kind of fluid with the whole like I said, crime and corruption thing, and I thought it was done really well. I like the whole idea of how you have Karen and Foggy and Ben trying to get to the truth on using more above board means, legal in quotes, versus Matt, who's of course doing the vigilante thing, and how they actually show Wilson Fisk moving from being one position in the organized crime world to moving to another position, and how all the characters kind of have their own little arc in a way. Matt's probably the most static of the characters, and that's just par for the course because it's a superhero thing. But still, you see the obstacles he goes through and has to overcome. You see, like I said, Foggy and Karen. You see Ben. You see Wilson Fisk, and like I said, I thought it was really well done and really thought out. It was a lot better than I think a lot of not just superhero shows, but like I said, cop shows and dramas of this ilk that a lot of times just go towards just formula and cliche and things like that. I like the whole thing where it's brought up that Matt doing his vigilante thing, he gets called on it once or twice. There's a scene where somebody says, "Is this your plan? Please tell me there's more." There's a part where he does a whole thing of, you've seen it in a million movies and TV shows. He's got one of the bad guys cornered. He's like, "Tell me what I want to know or I'll let you die." And the bad guy is just like, "Screw you," The whole ethics of what he's doing comes into question. The whole ethics, again, as how far you can and can't do, trying to follow the legal means comes up. The whole idea where, in his own twisted way, Wilson Fisk thinks he's doing a good thing, even though he's obviously breaking the law and so on and so forth. So I thought it was a lot deeper than a lot of things you get on this sort of way, and these sort of like I said, movies and TV shows. It actually gives me high hopes for for the subsequent Marvel Netflix TV series, the Jessica Jones series, the Luke Cage series, and the Iron Fist series. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, for the most part, yeah, I really enjoyed the Daredevil series. It's obviously a low budget show, but they were able to succeed with decent acting, good directing, and above average writing, and they were able to come up with some really creative things and really make a really entertaining show. So I really enjoyed it, and it's actually kind of got me pretty excited for the other Netflix shows that are going to be coming out from Marvel. Okay, so that's it. I got to thank you very much for your time, and you try to enjoy the rest of your day, okay?